How we doing, everybody, and welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Wednesday, a fantastic Wednesday here in the great state of Wisconsin. A little bit of snow going on yesterday, but hey, it's Wisconsin. Wait 5 minutes, the weather will change here. Today, I have Austin with me, and also we got a special guest join us today. We have Nolan Hertel, the back-to-back champion down there at UWL. Nolan, how we doing? It's a little snowy up here in Center. I don't know what's going on in La Crosse right now. I know it's snowy up here, but I mean, back-to-back champ. How's it going today?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Like you said, it's pretty snowy out here, but yeah, overall, I'm doing very well.
Good to hear. Good to hear right there. He's riding high right now. He doesn't care about the snow. He's a back-to-back champ. So, I mean, just jump into it right here. Back-to-back championships. I mean, a lot of people strive for that, but it's somewhat impossible, right? It's hard. It's hard to get to that level, and you've done it now. I mean, tell me a little bit about that journey from last season. I wouldn't say you came out of nowhere, but you surprised a couple people along the way, right? Now this year, you were the defending champ. You had the target on your back going into this one, and I mean, just excellence across the board, an undefeated season, right? So tell me a little bit about the journey that you had in back-to-back years here.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start kind of back to last year. I was having a pretty good year. I think I had two losses maybe going into the regional tournament in February, and then ended up getting the 2 seed at nationals last year. So again, like right there, not being there before in that position was a little tough because in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, it's possible to do it, but obviously it's going to be really tough. And then, anyways, had a really great tournament. Felt really good and ended up winning that first title. And then, just put a lot of training in the off season. I don't think a lot of people might not know this, but I wasn't planning on coming back this year. So when I had finished last year, I decided, that was going to be it for me. My 4 years were done, and I was going to be finishing up my bachelor's degree in the summer. So I said, well, I'm not going to come back. That was a little short lived, as I found my way back to the wrestling room a couple weeks after nationals last year. But it wasn't all about, the wrestling, furthering my education, being in a master's program, and then just hanging around the guys and a whole nother year was a big thing for me. And then, like you said, this year started off great. And I think it had a lot to do with me just, being out there to wrestle and kind of have more fun. I noticed this year a lot more that I was really enjoying each moment better. I wasn't looking ahead past matches, just having fun with my teammates, smiling a lot more. And that also kind of just helped, calm me down a lot for my matches, which was one thing I think I struggled with a little bit the previous year. But I had a lot of fun matches this year and was wrestling well at the right time, like our coaches kind of prepare us for, and had a really great tournament individually and as a team. I was really impressed with our team. So.
Okay. And you mentioned there that you were talking about not coming back. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Then you're like, I'm going to walk out on top, right? I don't want to come back and ruin that record. But you came back and you talked about teammates and everything like that. But can you expand on that a little bit? I mean, the reasoning for not, wanting to hang it up, and then a little bit more about the reasoning of, hey, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give her one more go.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when I made my decision, I think I made it about the end of January of the previous season. So a little over a year ago, practices just started to get long and my body was feeling beat up. And I think a big thing for me was a lot of the mental side of it. So, I was always worrying about my weight, worrying about, am I doing enough to be on the top of that podium? It might seem like little things, but it really does get to you, just being an athlete. And, I think I also just had to make a decision. I was on the fence for such a long time. And I think that kind of not knowing was another thing that, was kind of holding me back. And I feel like I wasn't, performing the way that I could. So I just had to make a decision. I was going to stick with it at least until the end of the year. And then I actually for our banquet was a couple weeks after the season last year, and I ended up giving a senior speech, which was a little weird because then I decided to come back like a week later. But uh, yeah, I think just making a decision was the biggest thing for me that helped me kind of get that weight off my shoulders.
And going along with that, was there anybody who like influenced that decision for you? Anybody you talked to that was kind of in your corner there saying, "Hey, don't be done. Give it your extra year there."
Oh yeah, definitely. I had tons of phone calls, spent a lot of hours on the phone and over email with my past teammates. I had a few past teammates that had the eligibility for that 5th year that ended up not taking it. So I think they were a big help to me. I reached out and said, "Hey, how did you feel after you didn't take that 5th year?" And I'll be honest, most of them were kind of wishing that they had, and that kind of stuck out with me a lot because I knew that if I took this 5th year, I wasn't going to regret it. But if I didn't take it, I was going to regret it probably for the rest of my life. Um, and then just with my parents, they it wasn't so much even about the wrestling. I mean, obviously they wanted to see me wrestle another year and kind of go after my goals again, but um, just the education part of it too. Getting that master's that's going to help me on later in life. And then, no surprise, my coaches were a big one, always in my ear. But them too. It wasn't about just the wrestling side of things. It's also about uh, just being a better man too. All the things that you learn in wrestling, discipline, integrity, even gratitude, uh, just being thankful for that opportunity because not a lot of people have that opportunity to take that extra year. And I think that was one thing that stuck with me was just being able to have that opportunity. I just couldn't pass it up.
I like that. I mean, going off of that to say, what are some of the things you learned about yourself? I mean, going into you weren't sure about it heading into the year, your weight, everything like that, if you were physically ready. So tell me a little bit about the things you learned about yourself heading into this last season there with UWL.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, I found out that I'm very mentally strong. Having to go through when I thought I was going to be done, because I knew all those reasons that I explained that were, on my mind. If I was cutting weight right, if I was worrying about other guys, I knew that was probably going to come back this year, and they did. But I think that just having that opportunity it meant a little more, knowing that okay, this is my last year for sure. Um, but I think, yeah, that just that weighing on my mind really, really got to me. And, obviously I made the right decision and I'm super happy that I came back for the wrestling, for the school, for the, being around the guys was just another big thing. Yeah, I'm just really grateful for it.
Yeah, so you said we said that you went 29-0, and you kind of talked about or last season, but tell us a little about that journey throughout this season, your final season, and some of like the bigger matches that some people might not know that you partaked in, and some of the matches that stood out to you.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. This year went by super fast. I thought. I think it's that first part of the season drags on a little bit until you get till about Thanksgiving time, and then you got another little push till past Christmas, and then after that you're already in January and February looking for postseason matches. But yeah, we headed out east to New York early in November. Got some good matches there that those East Coast guys we don't see a ton, so it was great for myself and a lot of my teammates to get matches against some of those guys. And then after that, I was really fortunate and grateful to wrestle out at Penn State at State College. I wrestled in the NWCA All Star Classic against the Division II champ from last year from St. Cloud State. That was just an awesome experience to be in. With all those D1 guys, those high level guys, Penn State guys, Hodge winners. That was just a really cool experience. Sharing it with Coach Malachek, and I thought I wrestled really well and ended up getting the win out there 3-1, I think. So then after that, I thought I was on a really big high, but came back and kind of got my feet set back on the ground, and had a good push through Christmas time. And then one tournament that's always a blast for us is the National Dual Tournament. This year it was in Cedar Falls, Iowa, in the Unidome. Saw a lot of great teams there: Whitewater, Wartburg, North Central, some great teams. I think that's where I really started gaining confidence, because I found myself trying to open up matches more and score a little more points, and kind of just started to have a lot more fun there. And then after that, we had a couple duels. In the Augsburg duel, I ended up injuring my ankle a little bit there, so I actually sat out for, I think, 3 or 4 weeks, just kind of training the body in different ways and training the mind. That's all part of it, and just kind of staying focused on the task at hand. It's not about getting these early matches. It's not about the pointer open or that type of stuff. It's about being on top of the podium down at nationals. So recovery went well, and we headed into the postseason with conference, regionals, and nationals. And conference, we had a really good tournament as a team, and then we head into regionals with one of the toughest regionals in the country with Augsburg and us and Eau Claire. But yeah, I thought I wrestled really well there, and kind of just going out there and wrestling just to wrestle, not putting so much focus and like so much pressure on matches. Was one thing that I focused on, going into the postseason, because as you get into February, you've already been wrestling for 5 months in the room, and it gets really long. And I think there's guys that just want to be done. So I think in the postseason a lot, it's definitely about who's tougher and who wants a little more. And then nationals was awesome. Just being home in lacrosse was, I think, a really big advantage for us. Not traveling. We were in the lacrosse center, which we've all wrestled in before, so kind of home field advantage there. Yeah, just a really great tournament that we felt comfortable in. And I thought our team wrestled really well, and for myself, I was really happy with my performance. I know, like, my finals match was a lot closer than I wanted it to be, but things like that happen, and I'm glad that I was able to open it up a little more in those early matches to kind of help score some points for my team. So yeah, that's kind of the wrap on the season.
A fantastic season all the way around, that's for sure.
Thanks.
I mean, you can't shake your head at much. I mean, it's hard to go undefeated. That's for darn sure. Especially, you look at some of your bigger matches there. You mentioned that one against a D2 champ from the season before. I mean, that was impressive in its own right. Was that, I mean, you talked about it kind of there, but was that the moment where you were like, yeah, I can do this. I can go back and get myself back on that podium there? I mean, was there that moment this year where you had in your mind that you're like, I can do this? You had that indecisive look at the start of the year, but now it's like, yeah, I'm here. I can do it again.
Yeah, I definitely think that match was almost like a turning point for me. By far, it wasn't like my best match or like the best match I've ever wrestled, but that's okay. And hearing myself say that, it's like, well, if that's not my best match, that's all right, because I think I'll be all right. But yeah, I think almost that stretch there right before Christmas, I was just feeling really, really good, especially coming off that win. And yeah, I think realizing that, all right, I'm up there with the best guys in the country from all divisions. I think that kind of made it sink in a little more.
And I had a question. So, how'd you get into that position wrestling against the Division II champ? Like, because I heard something like the Division I guy got hurt or something, or he dropped out. I don't exactly know. Can you explain how you got into that position exactly?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty funny story. So I mentioned earlier that we were out in New York in November for that tournament. And I remember we were I think we were in Baltimore at the airport waiting for our flight out to New York for the tournament. And Coach Malachek I see him sitting out. I see him sitting over on the phone, and he hangs up the phone, and we're just about to board to go to Albany. And he comes over and he pulls me aside and he goes, "Hey, I just got off the phone with Flow Wrestling, and they want to know if you can wrestle at the All Star Classic." And at first I thought he was pulling my leg, and I didn't know if we were talking about the same thing because just thinking about the All Star Classic, you think about like those Penn State guys and Iowa and all those great guys. But then we were like, he mentioned that some of the D1 guys that they were going to have there ended up getting hurt, or I don't know exactly what happened to them, but for whatever reason they weren't able to wrestle. So then obviously I said yes right away. It would have been a super awesome opportunity, and so first thing was the focus on this tournament, because I think if I would have just started focusing on that right away, I don't think this dual tournament in Albany would have went as well as it did. But yeah, so we finished that up, and we were right back to booking flights. So we flew back from Albany from the tournament on Sunday, I believe. We flew into Minneapolis, drove back to La Crosse Sunday night, and then 6 a.m. Monday morning I got up again, and we flew out of La Crosse Airport back to State College at Penn State. But yeah, it was just a really awesome opportunity, and our university was super helpful with setting up flights and getting cars for us. So I have to appreciate them, and I just appreciate the opportunity and Coach Malachek being there with me.
I got a question for you about Albany. So I've heard there's absolutely nothing to do in Albany. Like, it's just the most boring place you could ever go to. You were there. I'm guessing you got out a little bit. You weren't just boom, boom, boom business the whole way, right? You had dinner and everything like that. Tell me a little bit about Albany. Is it as boring as what it sounds like?
So we actually didn't do like anything. I don't even know which part of like town we were in, but we got there. We must have got there like a Thursday night maybe. And then we went right to working out. And then after that, it was already time for bed. So we got back to our hotel. Friday was pretty much a workout day. And I think it's tough. I would have liked to, go out and do stuff, but it's tough when there's, 10 or 12 guys all cutting weight and in a city that you're unfamiliar with. It just doesn't work out like that. You wish it did, but yeah, I mean, nothing to brag about from what I saw, but we really didn't get out as much as we would have liked to. They were having the day before our tournament, they had some Division I teams out there wrestling, so we got to watch like Buffalo and I think Clarion and NC State. So a little something to do, more wrestling related, but yeah, it was a good time though.
Got to see Sam Mitchell out there. How'd he do?
Yeah.
How'd he do out there at Albany? Was it good? Was it a great experience there?
I think he went 2-0. I think he had 2 matches. Yeah.
Okay. Was he your teammate back in high school there? Did you get to work with him a little bit along the way?
Yep. Me and Sam graduated in the same class, so yeah, we were pretty tight. Yeah, still keep in contact with him, so yeah, it's been good.
Now tell me, I've had Sam on here, I have you on here now. You can be blatantly honest. Who wins outright? I mean, we're taking it's a one-on-one match here. Who's winning? All right.
Well, I'm gonna say me, obviously, but I think, in all honesty, I think it would be really tough to beat Sam just because of the weight difference and the the experience. But yeah, we had some good battles in high school, so.
I'd take it too. Don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him
Okay.
I said that. But I would take you too in that match there. So good stuff there. I guess I just wanted to know. I had Stephen Buchanan on here earlier or early on in the season, and he told me, heading into his later seasons that you had to change yourself along the way, right? Your philosophy towards wrestling, you lose speed, you got to gain a little bit elsewhere, stuff like that. Did you notice anything like that along your journey, that you had to up your game in like other categories because you were aging a little bit?
Yeah, I think even not so much like throughout the season, but like over my career. So like, those first couple of years you come in and you're a freshman and you're full of piss and vinegar and you're ready to go. And you feel like you're never going to get hurt. And I think that, just being smart about your training as you like go through your career. There's going to be days when you train really hard, and you should have that. That's really great for you. Then there's also days where, you got to know when to cut it back and to taper off a little bit. Because as much as it is for your body physically, it's also for your mind. And, I just go back to how stressful it is, and, things that get on your mind a lot during the season, and having those days where you can just come in and, wrestle. We have a lot of those no think practices. Coach Malachek calls it, where we just come in, we warm up, and we shake hands, and we just start drilling, and then we start going live, and things like that. But yeah, I think that, I've kind of tried to wrestle more smart, I would say, for lack of a better word, but just, kind of knowing the rules, and being stingy in positions, and not really budging. Yeah, staying in really good position. And uh, but yeah, I think at some point everyone kind of figures it out, and, has to make little changes. And I think little changes are good. You start stacking up a bunch of little changes, they turn into, really big changes for the better.
And I got to ask here, I got to ask once. Tell me about that match with Peter Kane. All right, it's the championship match. It's going for the back-to-back title. The pressure, I mean, did you feel the pressure of that? Was the pressure on you, or were you like, it doesn't really get to me? How was, the lead up to that match?
Yeah, I think it felt like the same as last year's final match for me, in that I was pretty calm overall. So we had, before the final start, we get there and we warm up, but at that point it's like 3 hours before I'm wrestling. So I think just having like time to kind of decompress, and, you know, go out in the lacrosse center, and, see the stage and see the lights, and then coming back and kind of relaxing, and, just realizing that it is just another match, and, you know, wrestling is just a sport. And I think that, you know, not not putting so much pressure on it can just really help a lot of athletes. But yeah, specifically in that match, it went by like super fast to me. I think there was a moment or two where I just like was in like the Zen mode, and I was kind of like blacked out almost. But uh, yeah, it was a little boring, honestly, for the first, two periods, and then I finally decided to open it up and finally decided to score some points. But uh, yeah, I got that takedown, and then once I knew I got that takedown, um, I think there was like 45 seconds left or a minute, and I knew I could, ride them for the time that I needed to, and then, kind of hang on. But uh, yeah, overall, I was really happy with, my that match and my whole tournament. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I was like super nervous. One thing that helped me was, when before you run out there, back in the corner, all my coaches are back there, and had some teammates back there. So I mean, and one thing that does help too is that they don't change their routine. Um, like for me specifically, I always have, Coach Malachek stretch my arms out and maybe give me a slap on the head before I go out there. But I think keeping everything the same is a big key for me. And then another thing that, I looked forward to in this tournament was having my family mat side. So we got 4 tickets for, the mat side seats for my family members. So all my siblings and my girlfriend were down there with me, and, seeing their faces and seeing their smile on the way out, just also helped me calm down. And I think these past couple of years, I've been more of a smiler when I go out there, instead of, a straight face mean mugging. But yeah.
I I worked the
Austin, you got
champ.
something there?
Yeah, I worked the championship, and I was one taking families down to the court side. And your parent or your or whoever you chose, I was fortunate enough to take them to the court side. I'm like, I got 3 out of the 4 lacrosse families that were wrestling in the championships, but you got a great family. And I was standing there, I'd walk down, and like everyone would be in the red corner or whatever, getting hype. I'm like, I can kind of feel the tension sitting over here. I'm like, geez, I wonder how these wrestlers feel. But it's good that you didn't really feel the pressure. I think I was just wondering how it felt just wrestling in front of your home city, not only just like obviously state, but your home city. It being in lacrosse, I know lacrosse has hosted, I think a couple of times, a few times, but for you to be here for one and actually win it, how'd that kind of feel for you?
Yeah, I mean, having it in lacrosse was just awesome. I think like the whole town of Marshfield was here. I swear I looked up there and I saw like 50 Marshfield people, um, which is super awesome. And I can't thank them enough for, supporting me. And then even just like the amount of alumni and, friends of the wrestling program that were there. We had like a good two or three sections filled up. And our my teammates up in the stands were loud when they had to be, so it was kind of cool hearing them chant some stuff during our matches, which was it was really great. um, but yeah, I think kind of going back to that nerve thing with my family, I think my dad told me that that's the most nervous he's ever been. And I think I mean, I know that he knew that I could do it. I just think he and my family get, they want to see me have success, even though that's what it's not all about. Um, I think it's a great added bonus to it.
Okay. And I mean, I
I
just
didn't
want
realize how much emotion goes into like wrestling, like all together. Because it's like obviously there's the team aspect, but then there's also the individual aspect. And one side you see one wrestler, one individual win, but then I saw a lot of the other side where the one wrestler didn't win. I'm like, that's got to be tough for the family. And luckily, obviously, you were fortunate um, to win your match, and you were on the good side. But we were told like because we were taking the families up and down, we are like, this is emotional for them. So kind of be careful how you talk to them and everything afterwards. But it was interesting to see. I haven't really watched wrestling in that aspect before. Sometimes I turn it on if it's the only thing on, or I've been to a few duels, but kind of to be there for the whole tournament and to see how everything goes and all the emotion that goes into it is definitely something I can respect for watching wrestling. Then I think the amount of times I've seen some guy pop his shoulder out of his socket is actually insane. Dislocations, Trage. Let me tell you, not a fun thing to watch, but I saw a lot of dislocations. And the crazy thing is, they'll arm will dislocate, but they'll pop it right back and keep wrestling. So wrestling's, I have tremendous respect for it. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, I think it's there's a huge roller coaster of emotions, like you mentioned. I mean, 1 second you could be up, by 3 points or 2 points, and then 3 seconds later you get taken down and the match is over. It's just like everything could be so high and mighty, and then all of a sudden you come crashing down. But um, yeah, I think try not to let your emotions like get involved. Like as a wrestler is really great, and um, just kind of keeping a calm head. And when you win, I think it's time to let the emotion out. But I'm not a super huge emotional guy, and you know don't need to celebrate and stuff like that. But I think it also comes from like just kind of knowing that you should be there, and almost like it's not a surprise. So don't treat it as such. But yeah, definitely once you see it firsthand and you're right down there in the action, it can get pretty intense.
Yeah, and I mean, getting towards the end here, I just want to know, looking back at your career, at UWL, even back to your high school days. I mean, looking back at it now, did you along that way achieve those goals that you set for yourself? Because everybody sets those goals, right? Throughout your career, whatever sport you're playing, you have those goals. Did you achieve those goals along the way there? And I mean, looking back at it, is there anything you would have changed about your journey, or did everything kind of go the way that you wanted it to? I mean, just tell me a little bit about looking back on it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think my overall goal, ever since I like started wrestling was a kid, was just to be on top, like just once. I just wanted to do it once. And like when I was a youth wrestler, that might have been youth state. And then when I got to high school, I wanted to win high school state. And like obviously I wasn't close to doing any of those, and it was tough coming into college because I really didn't know, like, all right, I have 4 chances to finally achieve my goal of, being the best that I can and being the best in the country. It was a little hard to, try and figure it out right away, but I think that college wrestling um, changed my mindset, and it just changed me as a person so much. High school, you know, I was fortunate enough to be, a pretty good wrestler. Um, I worked hard and I put in my time, but nothing like, I figured out how to do in college. And I think it was just more of, the on your own aspect, and really you're the only one that's going to determine how good you're going to be. And obviously I have to give, a ton of credit to my coaches and my teammates, and my family. But, on the wrestling side, your teammates, I've some of my hardest matches were in the room between, uh, Coach Bebeto and Mason Kaufman, from Stratford. And then, our 49 pounder, Tyler Gable, and, the guy right above me, our 65 pounder, Noah Gang. So I think it's awesome when you see like multiple weights in a row have success, because, you were a part of that. Like, even though Tyler and Noah weren't, able to get a championship, I was super proud of them, and it kind of means a little more to me because I was a part of that, and I trained with those guys for 3 years. But yeah, kind of getting off topic here, but I definitely would say I kind of exceeded my goals, and I really, coming in to college and even in high school, I never thought I was going to do it. I believe that, I I could do it, but, you just don't know it's going to happen until, you see the work you put in, and, you see the results paying off.
Okay. Okay, Austin, anything you want to add in on the end there?
I was just something a little bit. You were talking about your teammates there, and you said that you were proud of them for how you guys placed in the national championship. Everyone always talks about Wartburg and Augsburg, obviously. Um, but what did you guys think coming into there, thinking how you guys could compete as a team? So not just individually, but as everyone, because you guys had 7 qualifiers there, which is quite a bit compared to some other teams that were there.
Yeah, Augsburg's in our regional, and, it's always tough seeing 10 guys go through for them, especially, if that it was them. If it was another team, I wouldn't have cared as much. But um, yeah, we had a tough 7 guys make it through for us, and, you know maybe we weren't all, the top of the podium material, obviously, but we just had 7 guys that were, willing to go to battle. And I knew that all 7 of us were going to work really hard in the weeks leading up to nationals. And, even when we were there, some of the guys didn't have a ton of success there, but, it wasn't because of lack of effort. I think they wrestled, how they were trained to wrestle. And I think they represented UWL wrestling really well. But yeah, going into, the tournament, we were, I think we were ranked like third. But, a team trophy was definitely on our radar. It's something we've wanted for a long time. And, I think one thing that Coach Malachek was preaching to us was just, don't worry about the team score. You gotta take care of yourself. And, that team score will also take care of itself then. And then I think, at one point we were in first place, and we were right there. Um, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to, be in that first place position, and we had a chance to, take home a national title. But, you know, sometimes it doesn't always work out. And, but again, it wasn't because of lack of effort or, guys giving up. We just, got beat. But yeah, I was super proud of our team.
And now being through the gauntlet, right? You went through high school wrestling, you've been through college wrestling now. Looking back on it, is there any advice? There's going to be people out there listening to this who are aspiring to be an athlete in college, right? Whether it's football, wrestling, anywhere in between. Any advice you'd give to them to say, hey, you can do it, right? This guy just went back to back at the Nationals there. I mean, anything's possible if you put your mind to it, right?
Yeah, I think big thing that our coaches here at lacrosse preach was just buy in. So like, I mean, your coaches do really know what they're talking about, even though we might not think that. But yeah, just buy into what they have to say. So that's believing in your training, pretty much just doing everything right. It takes a strong person to try and really change their lifestyle and their habits to try and match their goals. And then I think just believing in yourself. That's also another thing. I think a lot of athletes, myself included, in my earlier years, I just didn't have the belief that I needed. And then you start winning some matches, or you start winning some games, and you realize that, okay, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. And then yeah, I think just kind of work hard, and uh, yeah, I mean it's gonna be really hard, but um, like these past 5 years in college for me like flew by. I know like the schooling part can drag on and the seasons drag on, but overall it just goes by super fast. So I think try to just believe and buy in, and then I think most importantly, I've been saying these past couple of years, is just have fun. Because in the end it's another game that we get to play for a little bit longer. And I talk about my fifth year, having that opportunity, just be super grateful to have these opportunities, because I know there's a ton of guys that would love to be in my position. There's 34 other guys just in our room alone, and then you multiply that by however many hundred schools in the country that want to be where I am, or want to be where our team are. So yeah, just buying in and believing and having fun, I think are the biggest things that I would like to kind of preach to those guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice. That is great advice to live by right there. And wrapping it up here, one last thing for you. Your career now, I mean, I don't want to make you cry here on the show. I don't want to make you sad, but it's over at UWL, right? Tell me what's next for Nolan Hertel. Is any wrestling involved? I mean, what's going to happen next in your life, if you know? If you don't know, I mean, I get it.
I know I'm just like still in shock that it's kind of over, but I flipped that switch really quick, because 3 days after nationals, I had a job interview, and I ended up getting the job. So I work in Sparta at the Parks and Rec department. So I started yesterday, so today was my second day. But yeah, it was kind of a quick turnaround, and you go from one weekend you're in college and you're a college athlete, and then 2 weeks later I was you know in the real world. But yeah, so right now I'm finishing up my master's degree and working full time, and then once I finish up my program, I want to stick around and try and help out with wrestling as much as I can. Hopefully with the UWL guys. Uh, just I've grown really close to the program and to the coaches, and obviously my teammates. But as far as competing, I don't think I'll be competing anymore. But yeah, it's been good, and kind of almost a blessing to be done. But I'll miss it a lot. But I've just been super grateful to have the experiences that I've had, and all these opportunities. It's just been awesome at UWL.
One weekend he's a national champ. The next week he's working for the Park and Rec. I mean, it's
Right,
all
right.
business all the time right here. So, with that, anything you got left, Austin? Anything you got on your end?
Nothing. I mean, I'm just glad we can call you an Eagle, man. Not nothing else. Being
I know.
from lacrosse, also. I mean, it's exciting, and you probably don't know, but there's a lot of. I'm on the football team, and there's a lot of other athletes, not obviously just on the wrestling, but that also had cheered for you, and also all the other guys in the Natties. So we're proud to call you a national champ at UW Lacrosse. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Do you get a ring? Do you get a ring for winning the title in wrestling like you do in
I
other
hope so.
sports?
I didn't last year. I think maybe like it's something to do with the university. Like maybe I could like buy one. But yeah, I didn't get that. But
We're
you
gonna
know, I'll
start a
take.
GoFundMe for this guy. I mean,
I know,
buying
right?
his own national championship ring.
Need
I mean, we're
something.
starting it right now.
Right, right. But
Lincoln by no, I'm kidding.
yeah, but yeah, I'll take the the memories and the the experiences over anything.
Yeah,
Sure.
100%. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
beat your career in college. You can't beat it. There's not many that will. It was fantastic all the way around. So, I mean, anything else you got for us to wrap it up here?
No, I don't think so. No, not that I can think of. I think I summed it up pretty well, and yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic stuff there. We learned a lot. Austin taught me a lot about wrestling. You taught me a lot about wrestling. Now we know. Now we know. So great stuff there. We wanted to thank you again for coming on with us, and congratulations once again, back-to-back champs there at the D3 level.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks a bunch. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Anytime. You want to come back? You want to talk wrestling? We might get in. I don't know. But, I mean, baseball? You like baseball? We can talk about that all day long. I mean, we got you there.
All right, we could work something out.
There we go. There we go. We're going to have him back at some point here. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day down to the river.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this special interview that we had with Nolan Hertel tonight. This episode was brought to you by a lot of our fantastic sponsors. First Game Day Supply in on Alaska. If you have a sports club or team, and if you're looking for some custom uniforms or apparel, you got to check them out there. Game Day Supply in on Alaska. They'll help you get everything you need to get your team set up right for this upcoming season. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store down there, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. They got it all down there. Getting closer to spring, you got to get down to Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Also, Marshfield Motor Speedways, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Plenty of family fun for every summer day and night coming up this year. Check them out on Facebook or online. Just search Marshfield Motor Speedway. You can find the schedule right there on their Facebook page or on their website. Also, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sawyer Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Getting closer to spring, maybe you're looking to move. Those are the two ladies that you should trust around here to find yourself a great home. Also, Sports Scene, sports cards and memorabilia located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Get down there to the store. Check out their wide variety of cards, jerseys, memorabilia, model stock cars. They got it all down there at Sports Scene. So check out Al there at Sports Scene in Marshfield. And also, last but not least, we have Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured lately and you need some physical therapy, you got to stop in there at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. They'll get you right. They'll get you back to work, back on the field, back on the court, whatever it is. They'll get you back there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in to this great interview with Nolan Hertel, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow on the show.